A Tennessee man already facing charges in connection with the January 6, 2021, attack on the U.S. Capitol was arrested for allegedly planning to kill FBI agents, including those who had been investigating him, the Justice Department announced Friday. Edward Kelley, who was previously charged with assaulting an officer during the Capitol riot, and Austin Carter, also from Tennessee, have been charged with conspiracy, retaliating against a federal official, interstate threats, and solicitation to commit a crime of violence. According to an affidavit, Kelley and Carter had a list of names of 37 law enforcement members to assassinate. The list noted which officers were involved in Kelley's arrest in May in Knoxville, Tennessee, on the January 6 related charges or present during the search of his home, and it included some of their phone numbers, according to the affidavit. An acquaintance of Kelley and Carter gave the list to police and began cooperating with investigators, according to the affidavit. CNN has reached out to Kelley's attorney. Carter's attorney, Joshua Hedrick, told CNN in a statement, "Our investigation is only just beginning, but we are looking forward to providing a zealous defense of Mr. Carter, who has asserted his innocence." In a news release Friday, the Justice Department said Kelley not only discussed attacking law enforcement agents with Carter and their unnamed acquaintance. "If I'm extradited to D.C. or you don't hear about my status within 24 or 48 hours, if they are coming to arrest me again, start it," Kelley told the acquaintance during a recorded call Wednesday, according to the affidavit. "You guys are taking them out at their office. What you and need to do is recruit as many as you can and you're going to attack their office." When the acquaintance asked if Carter was in support of part of Kelley's plans, Carter told the individual that this is the time, add up or put up, and to definitely make sure you got everything racked, locked up and loaded. Kelley and Carter will remain detained pending further hearings.
Donald Trump's digital trading card collection sells out in less than a day. Despite being widely mocked online, former U.S. President Donald Trump's collection of digital trading cards have sold out in less than a day, netting $4.5 million in sales. On Wednesday, Trump alerted fans to a major announcement on his Truth social media platform. A day later, the 45th President of the United States revealed he was offering limited edition cards feature amazing art of my life and career, which he promised would prove very much like a baseball card but hopefully much more exciting. The cards include the 76-year-old former commander-in-chief in a boxing ring, preparing to wrestle, as a race car driver, an astronaut, and on a football field. Each card has his presidential number, 45, stamped on it. The non-fungible tokens were on sale on the OpenSea marketplace, which people could reach via a dedicated site set up for the sale. The site said on Friday that the cards were sold out. The cost for the NFTs was $99 each and 45,000 were put on sale. As with other NFTs, the purchaser holds ownership of the specific digital Trump card. But the image itself can be widely copied and shared by anyone online. While the nature of digital imagery means there is a limitless supply as long as the user knows how to click and save, there was a limited supply of NFTs on offer as part of the launch. Some images had only one NFT associated with them, while others had 20 on sale. People who bought the cards also went into a competition to win prizes including dinner at Mar-a-Lago with Trump, golf with the former president, or a Zoom call. It comes at a time when Trump is facing increased legal pressure as court cases advance over his businesses, and the House January 6 Select Committee is considering a criminal referral against him for obstruction of Congress. Trump has also faced pressure inside the Republican Party after announcing plans to run for the GOP nomination in 2024 amid a poor result for Republicans in the midterm elections in November, that has been in part blamed on Trump.
U.S. botched executions reach all-time high, report finds. In its annual report on the use of capital punishment in the country, the Death Penalty Information Center said on Friday that 7 of the 20 attempted executions by U.S. states in 2022 were visibly problematic. That included a case in which Alabama officials struggled to insert an intravenous line into a man for 3 hours, said the report, which defined a botched execution as one that includes execution or incompetence, failures to follow protocols, or defects in the protocols themselves. As lethal injection turns 40 years old this year, 2022 can be called the year of the botched execution. The DPIC, a nonprofit research group based in Washington, D.C., said in a statement accompanying its findings, calling the proportion of problematic execution attempts astonishing. A total of 18 people were executed across the country this year, in 6 states alone. However, that is far lower than in previous years before the COVID-19 pandemic, as the practice has come under growing scrutiny.
National reconsideration.
Proponents of the death penalty say it is morally justified when someone has been found guilty of a heinous crime. While state-level executions continue to decrease, federal executions remain relatively rare, despite a notable uptick during former President Donald Trump's administration, under which 13 people were executed between July 2020 and January 2021. By comparison, the U.S. federal government carried out 3 executions in a 55-year period between 1964 and 2019. President Joe Biden's administration placed a freeze on federal executions in July 2021. Austin Surratt, a professor of law and politics at Amherst College, told Al Jazeera that the U.S. is in the middle of a national reconsideration of capital punishment. What changed the conversation is the belief that the death penalty system is broken. It is unreliable in the guilt phase, marred by racial bias in the sentencing phase and often botched in the execution phase, Surratt said. Administrative problems that can lead to botched executions, which critics say violate U.S. constitutional protections against cruel and unusual punishment, have been a source of concern, and the European Union has previously refused to sell drugs used in executions to the U.S. Fears an innocent person could be put to death is also one of the most significant worries over the practice. A 2021 Pew Research Center poll found nearly 80% of people in the U.S. believe there is some risk an innocent person could be wrongfully put to death. The DPIC's report on Friday noted that 2 people formerly on death row were exonerated in 2022, bringing the total number of such exonerations since 1972 to 190 people. It also found the majority of those executed in 2022 had significant vulnerabilities, such as brain damage, serious mental illness, or an IQ level that qualified them as intellectually disabled. 12 people had experienced serious trauma, neglect, or abuse as children, and 3 had been sentenced to death for crimes they had committed as teenagers, the report said. The death penalty also has been criticized for being disproportionately applied to people of color, with DPIC stating that racial bias against defendants of color and in favor of white victims has a significant effect on who is prosecuted, sentenced, and put to death. In the state of Texas, for example, black people make up about 13% of the population but have accounted for nearly half of all executions in the state's history. Hadar Avaram, a professor of law at the University of California, Hastings College of the Law in San Francisco, told Al Jazeera that the U.S. is unique in that it is the only country to restore the death penalty after instituting a brief moratorium on its use. The return of the death penalty was part of a general punitive trend in the late 1970s, said Avaram. In its report on Friday, DPIC said 20 people received death sentences in 2022 at the state level, with 2 others awaiting sentencing decisions, which could bring the total to 22 for the year. However, the group noted that 37 of the country's 50 states have either abolished the death penalty or not carried out an execution in the last 10 years. Earlier this week, the governor of Oregon said the state would commute all capital sentences and begin dismantling its execution chamber. And in 2021, Virginia became the first state in the U.S. South to ban the practice. That trend also has played out on the global level. According to Amnesty International, more than 2/3 of the world's countries have abolished the death penalty in law or in practice. The U.S. has tried to argue that it can continue using the death penalty while maintaining its core values. People want to believe that when someone is put to death, the state is in a position of moral superiority, Surratt said. Botched executions blur that picture.